Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for coming to the Investor Talk series. How's it going?
It's all good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and spending your time with me and with us because this podcast will go to all the founders on EquityMatch. And why we do this one? We do this one to help them to understand what is behind the venture capital, what is behind angel investing, and how the industry works. So they are more prepared the first time that will approach investors, not only the first one. As we start, would you like to give an intro to yourself, who you are?
Absolutely. I have a background from Ericsson where I worked for quite a few years. I'm a tech at heart, but then coming into those things when you just slide into different paths. So I slided into marketing and communication within Ericsson, which I had never thought I would work with since I'm an engineer. And then there I was in charge for taking care of all the VIP customers and presenting the whole company's portfolio. So I learned a lot about communication and how to pitch and pitch for customers and investors. So after that, I founded my own company working as a pitch coach, coaching now, I think I'm close to 1,000 startups. And I also joined a startup 2.5 years ago, just quit though, a startup deep tech startup, which was very interesting. And then also I started doing some angel investment 4 years ago.
As you invested in startup, you do some angel investments. Which one is your sweet spot? In which geography stage you prefer to invest?
I have invested both inside and outside of Sweden, but I would say my sweet spot is Sweden because it's so much easier to meet the startups, to have them face to face. It's also easier to understand all the regulatory issues, the market, the customers. So I think that's it's close by and also close to my heart. I think that we have a lot of great innovations in Sweden, and so mostly of my investments are in Sweden.
Terms of stage, you are pretty early, or you can even walk in when it's a more mature stage, let's say late early stage, for example.
I would say late stage, that's more when I go in and take board positions, because I do that as well. But when it comes to investment, I would say really, really early on. First, because my ticket size is pretty small. And secondly, because I love this. I think that's also why I joined this startup. I was their first employee as a communicator in a deep tech drone
Mhm.
manufacturing startup. And I like when it's really, really early and when it's so messy and you need to take a lot of really, really fast decisions. And I think I'm a great generalist. So therefore, I was excellent for them to have for the first 2 years. And then when things got more structured, I felt like, this is not my journey anymore. I've done what I'm best at, and now it's time for the next one to take over when it's more structured. So that's the phase where I also love to invest because I think, as most investors, we want to not only give our money, because if we would only give our money, then it's a safer bet to, invest in stocks. So we want to be in there and we want to dig and we want to work next to the companies and we want to be engaged. And I think since there is my expertise, that's where I like to invest both my time and money.
I mean, I do believe it's very important for founders having someone who does not only give money, but gives a lot of help, experience, knowledge. At the very beginning, makes especially the first 24 months makes a huge, huge difference in any possible aspect. But when investing, and after we move later on in coaching and pitching, what actually do you consider? As you invest very, very early, it's all about team. So you I are more on the team or the idea, for example, the tech as the technology strongly backing the startup. What are you looking for exactly?
I love that you asked that question because I thought a lot about it lately. a year ago, I set up this, investment strategy. I'm going to invest in this company. I'm going to look for this. But then I realized that my portfolio, looking back, my portfolio hasn't followed what I thought was my strategy. So I think it depends on, my priority, I would say, is deep tech. I love B2B because that's my expertise. I don't have any knowledge in B2C really. So B2B tech companies, deep tech, climate focus. I also love when there is a female in the founding team. I think that's very important to have diverse team. But then also I think for me it's important that there is a problem that I understand, that there is a solution that I understand, because if I don't understand it, then it's very, very hard for me to be able to help them. Of course, the team is the most important, but if I don't understand the product, it doesn't matter how fantastic the team is, because I'm never going to be able to give them value, and then I'm not the right investor for them. So I think as an investor, you also need to consider, are you the right investor for them when it comes to how much you can help, what's your values, what's your priorities? How long runway do you have? How much can you follow up with? So I think that you need, out of respect, also has to go through and think, am I the right investor for them? Wow, that was a long answer for a short question.
This is a very good one. I think any investor should make their own assessment and not only investing because maybe can be a good opportunity to high return, but also understanding that if they don't give the right help at the very beginning, especially when it comes to full tech founders, we are very good in technology, but little sometimes, at least for the one I've been talking to, they really lack on management at the very beginning because they've done their first founders maybe coming from some MBA sometimes. The tech one, not even MBA. And although I'm not that keen into MBAs in any way, I've done mine. And this is why I'm not keen that much. And but yes, you're right. You should understand if you're right or not for them.
Yes, I would just also like to add that for me, it's very important to feel, it's my hard-earned money that I've, gotten from my consultancy. As I mentioned, it's small tickets, but for me, it's a lot. So it is my children's, future sort of that I'm gambling with. So for me, it's really important for it to be worth that gamble. So for example, I only invest in things that I think, of course, you want the return on investment that you think can have a great scaling, but also that they make a difference for the world. Because if I'm going to gamble with my children's future, then I want to gamble on something that will make their future better.
That's
Does it make
correct.
sense?
Oh, a lot, a lot. I mean, we this world needs a lot of help, so we need to do something, right?
Yeah.
Not only something, we need to do a lot.
Yes. And then you can't just go into the stock market and put your money on, boring stocks. You need to be out there and you need to dare to invest in innovation that can change the future.
There is little to innovate in a stock market. It's just speculation in any possible extent. And it's venture capital startup is the only way you can put your money and cheese innovation, right? Uh, you invest in Sweden mostly because proximity. It's for you possible to invest 100%. Many investors, they do not, especially venture capitalists, they do remotely everything, including pay without even meeting the founders one. Is something that is for you understandable, practicable?
Yeah, I've done it. I've invested in a startup in the United States. I've never met them. I've only seen them on Zoom. So yeah, it's possible. Very rare in my case, since I think that the founders are so important. It's all about the team. and it's very hard. There's so many things that you can do over Zoom. You can get the feeling of the person, and you get quite a lot, but you can't have that energy as when you have someone next to you in the room. And I like to feel the energy. Is it good or bad, or do I feel comfortable? It's quite interesting. I was just attending a huge event where one of the top VCs, one of the founders of the top VCs in Sweden, and they're also abroad in the United States and in Europe. And the founder there said that in order for them to invest in a startup, they actually all had to feel that they wanted to work for the founders. So even though they are, I don't know how old he is, 55, 60 years old, and maybe the founder is 20 years old, but the whole team of the investors need to feel, I would like to work for this 20-year-old founder. And if they all say yes, then they invest. And I thought that was very interesting take that I'm going to take with me, because I think it's very, very clever. If I would like to work for them, probably a lot more, then I'm inspired enough of this person, and that will probably, become easy to scale.
That's coming. You had to stay with them for a while,
Yeah,
1 year, 2 year, 3 years, So it's better if you have a good connection, right? If you
yeah.
like to talk to them, to collaborate, to work with them as well. Uh, let's say after investing, how many times do you like, with or without sick in the board, you like to meet them?
Oh, I would like to, well, it doesn't have to be physically. That can be definitely over Zoom, but I would like to meet them at least twice a year, just to get the feeling or an update. Or what I love is this American startup that I invested in. He sends us, instead of having an investor letter, he sends us every quarter or every 6 months. It depends on what has happened. But he sends us a video that is open on YouTube for, only for us investors, of course. It's closed, but it lies there for 30 days. So we have a chance to look at the video, and there he explains, what has happened, how are the prognosis. So it feels almost like a personal meeting. And I don't think that they should have, so for me, it gets that personal touch that I'm looking for, instead of just getting the investor updates. So this is a video update, and I think that's great. That's I'm satisfied with. Then of course it would be also nice to have once or twice per year where we can sit and ask questions. But I don't
Yeah.
expect them to call all of their 30 investors for updates. That for me is total waste of time. They should focus on building the company, and hopefully they reach out to you when they need your help.
How do you get involved? I mean, you do a lot of coaching, sitting on the board. How do you help them the most if they need?
Wow, I think I help them in quite a lot of aspects, since I'm a generalist. So working at Ericsson, as I mentioned, I presented the whole portfolio for Ericsson's VIP customers. So 95% of the people that I presented for, and we're talking, I was there for 5 years, and I did approximately more than 5,000 presentations in 5 years. So we're talking a lot of presentations. And 95% of them were either C-suite, royalties, ambassadors, or investors. So very, very high level on all those visits. And there is a strategy when you come to companies at that high level. So usually I can help them on how to put up customer meetings on that level. What do you need to think about? Everything from the handshake to the bigger strategies, because every single detail is so planned. So that I do. And then also, of course, if they are raising capital, I also help them with, where could they find investors? I introduce them to my network. I help them with their pitch. If they have performances, I'm a performance coach. When it comes to marketing and communication, I love branding. For me, branding is like the most important thing in a company because it sets the frame on which customer you will use, how will you develop your product, who do you want to attract as an employee, how are you building the culture in the company, so yeah, I think that's those are the things that I help companies with.
You're a generalist, so for you,
Yes.
it's actually it is a pleasure, right?
Yeah, but I'm very, very strategic in everything I do. I'm very strategic. If you're going to go to an event, I challenge my companies. What's your goal? I want to see. What are you going to measure? So for me, it's you need to have a strategy, and I love
Yeah,
to strategize.
absolutely. It's the most important thing is have a strategy. If without strategy, there is no way you can go nowhere.
Exactly.
Zero. Let's talk about pivoting. I mean, you are pretty much involved, hands-on in startups you're investing in, coaching. When it comes to pivoting, many funders they struggle to understand, especially when they're young. They don't really understand what that maybe that model was not right, that product was not right. There is no market. There is no way you go forward because you're just wasting time, burning money, and close to fail. So they must pivot one day. If not all of them, but many of them, they'll be pivoting, and many of them they become unicorn with an ads product instead of the main one. Many. So what can be your what can be your suggestion to any funders watching today? What is your approach to your funders when things are not working? I don't know if you got there in your experience so far, and you need to change. Much
So
way.
I think that the most common mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs do is that they feel like a failure when their startup doesn't work, or they don't get a sales right, and they realize that they don't have the perfect product market fit. So they start to feel like a failure, and they don't want to give it up because it's their baby that they have born and raised. And for me, I'm just like, give it up. Once you realize it, the faster you pivot, the better. And
Yeah.
I see it as a strength because I love to see, and every startup that I coach, if they have pivoted, I tell them to really emphasize that when they pitch for investors. Because for me, that shows that they are coachable. For me, it shows that they are adaptable. For me, it shows that you are running towards a goal. You really, really want to make a difference. Oh crap, it wasn't this customer segment. Oh crap, I need to change my product. It doesn't matter, I'll do it because I have a long-term goal that is so much bigger than my ego. So I love companies that have pivoted. For me, it's very clever, and the faster the better. Respect
Indeed.
in my word. Yeah.
Indeed. It's crucial.
Yeah.
Uh, let's go more personal. But why you decided to become an investor? What was the main push to
Yeah,
become an
this is
investor?
personal. Okay, so I was investing my when I was working at Ericsson, I didn't really have a clue what a startup was. And then when I was laid off, I had quite a lot of money that because when you get laid off in Sweden, sometimes you can get like a package, and I got a really nice package, so I got some money and I invested it in the stock market. And this is where I get a little bit ashamed, but I am lousy at the stock market. It seems like I always buy at the top and then I have to sell when it's at the bottom. So I lost sort of all my money. And then I realized after starting coaching startups that, I can't just have the money lying in the bank. So once I've started to earn some money, and I loved my startups that I coached. And I just thought there's so many bright ideas out there. So, and
Yeah,
I need to do something with my money. It can't just be on the bank and not something happen. That's kind of boring. And you have to take a little bit of risk here in life. So then I thought, heck, I want to support these fantastic innovations as much as I can, especially since I haven't come up with an innovation myself. If I would have had a startup, I'd probably invest in that. But since I haven't had that, then I need to support the future of innovation with my expertise through my pitching company and also through investing. Super personal.
It does. Let's say you had three startups, very similar, very strong founders, strong sector. The market is there. It can even become a billion company. What really makes the difference for you to deploy your money? What triggers in the end? Say, okay, I'm going to the right, not to the left, and not to the middle.
I think it's the combination that we talked about earlier, that I need to understand the product, I need to understand the problem, I need to understand what I can do in order to help them. And by the end of the day, it's all about the team. Do I get so inspired so I'm like, hell yeah, I'll go with you on this journey, I put my last dollar in your pocket? I think that's the feeling that moves me. But I'm also a sucker for everything, so I have a very hard time saying no. So I think it's sometimes tough because I get so inspired by so many ideas. I wish that I had more money. I want to invest in more companies.
The more you invest, the higher will be maybe the possibility to get back. We know some startups will fail. There is nothing to do. It's pretty much it's there. But
Yeah,
I was talking to a couple angels. They told me I really get excited, but I need to stop myself. Otherwise, I'm going to invest everywhere, and you never know where the money are going to. If I get anything back, let's go to pitch.
yeah.
Yeah, you have your pitching, coaching. You have funders to find a way how to pitch at the best investors. What funders should do when pitching to investors? If when they come to pitch to you, what actually you want to see from them?
What they're doing, where they are today, and where they're moving forward. Those are like the three general things. But then, yeah, I have like when I pitch coach startups, I have a model where there are 9 steps that I want them to that I think that every investor pitch should be included in, and that is problem solution, market competition, team traction, business model, go to market strategy, ambition. So those are the 9 ones. And that might seem a lot because the startups that I coach, they usually have only 3 minutes. But for me, I want them to plant a seed in all those 9 topics in order for me to want to know more. If they just talk about the problem and the solution and then say that's us, it doesn't really show me, how are the end users going to pay for this? How are you going to attract those end users or your customers? What's your vision? What's your goal? What's your ambition? Who are you doing this with? I never invest in solo entrepreneurs, never, because it's way too risky. If they get sick, the company is out. So I want to know more about the team, and also what is their ambitions, what are their. I meet quite a lot of startups that it's a trend to become a founder in a startup. A lot of corporates, people that have been laid off, and or they take in a package, and suddenly they're going to be this startup founder, and they think that it's super awesome, and then their only goal is to get rich. That doesn't trigger me. For me, there's not of course I want to be rich because then I can invest in more companies, but I think that if you have the goal that you have seen another company and they have earned so much money, and then you're sort of copying it, you're never going to make that difference. You're never going to be that one unicorn. To go there, you need to have a greater purpose. I want to see that.
That's
Oh wow, that
correct.
was a long answer
No,
for
but
a
this is
short
right.
question.
Investing fund that they are only chasing money, looking for money. I don't think it's right.
No,
Also, because
it
very
might be
rarely that
okay company, but yeah,
I agree. How funders, in your opinion, should approach investors? What's the way?
I get a lot of cold emails on LinkedIn, it's very, very hard to get excited about that. So I would try to have a more innovative approach. First of all, I think it's really, really important that the founders try to scout who do they want as an investor, not just send. I get so many suggestions on topics on markets that I have no idea about, and sometimes I wonder, have they even checked my profile, or are they just sending to everyone? So I think it's really, really important to pinpoint and do your research. Who would I like to have as an investor? Who has a similar portfolio, or where can I be a great match, or who do I really like their philosophy? So I, find those and then see where they're going to be. Are they going to be at a big event? Try to get to that event. I think events are fantastic to go networking, because usually you can just see on a person's badge if they're an investor.
Yeah.
I would recommend you to look them up by face before, so that you can see, oh, over there is Jenny. I'll grab her now, and not just go out randomly to investors and say, hi, what do you do and what do you invest in? Because it's sort of waste of time for both, because I'm looking for a specific startup and they should look for a specific investor. And if they have done their homework, they should be able to go up and say, hi, Jenny, I've heard so much about you, or I saw what you did with this company and I was so impressed and I would really love to pitch my idea for you. Oh, I would love that. I mean, who doesn't love to get a patch on the shoulder? Oh, I love what you did, and that's startup, Jenny. Everyone loves to get positive
Absolutely.
feedback and get flattered and talk about themselves.
Absolutely. You invest in deep tech. Now, how important is the IP for you?
It depends on what kind of companies there are. I think in some companies, it's very important to have an open IP if you are going to change the world into a better, if you have a longer goal. And in some cases, it's really important to have it close by heart.
Let me close with what comes next. Where do you see the more, in your opinion, where investors' money will be deployed the most in 2024? Let's don't talk about AI. Let's consider AI only enabling technology. Where are the sectors that money will go, in your
I
opinion, this
love
year?
I love that you said that, because it was really interesting in this conference. Everyone was talking about AI, and also how everyone knew that AI is going to be a tool that enables, but so it's kind of full there. I think it depends a lot where in the world you are, but I think that there's going to be, I think, and I hope there's going to be more and more climate focus, to invest more in climate. And also, I think that there are going to be more investments in deep tech. I think that we have passed the whole platform era, and I think that we need and will go more into deep tech. Yeah, I would say that's my prediction for 2024.
I mean, climate must be there, and deep tech is governing, right? Everything now. So there is,
Uh,
we can miss them. Thank you so much, Jenny, for taking
Thank you
part in
so
my
much.
podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.